So Linda, this should take no more than 10 minutes. Alright, so I know I spent way too much time reading over a week ago, and I'm going to tell you, confession right now, that I don't plan that far out ahead about what we're going to do here at Joe Catholic. I didn't know that today's first reading was going to be that famous quote from Joshua. It includes a famous quote from Joshua. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. So think about that as I begin. This was written by Matthew Warner for National Catholic Register on May 15, 2013. And the article is entitled, Why the World Doesn't Take Catholicism Seriously. So, I've edited it a little bit, but mostly it's his words with a little bit of mine sprinkled in. For years, I've been immersed in Catholic media and the ongoing conversation within the church of how to carry on as the church. And of course, in the West, at the heart of this conversation is the fact that within the next generation, we fear that half the pews will be empty. When I travel, I'm always asked by parents how they can get their adult children back to church. Some of you may actually have children like that. It's an epidemic, and we know it is. We can talk about catechesis and community and leadership and orthodoxy and the sacraments and the fullness of truth. We can complain about politics and how we need more preaching from the pulpit. But here is the core of the problem. Here's the practical reason why people are not convinced of the Catholic faith anymore. We Catholics don't look or act any different than non-Catholics. It's that simple, bottom line. The question that we have to answer is, if Catholicism offers a better way, why don't Catholics live lives that seem better? Only have to point to the divorce rate to indicate that. If we believe our faith and action in this life have eternal consequences, why don't we act like it? If the God of our universe, the creator of everything, is truly present in the Eucharist, why don't our actions show this? I had no idea Patrick was going to say that this morning. He did, right? If our relationship with God is truly the most important relationship, why don't our daily schedules reflect that? If our marriages and families are our greatest blessings, why do we sacrifice them for our careers? If God has a plan for us, why do we make so many plans without including Him? And why are we not on our knees every morning thanking, praising, and giving over to Him every moment of our entire day? If Catholicism is true, why isn't everything we do ordered around this truth? The incongruity between what we claim to believe and the lives we live is revealing. Any honest outsider can surely tell that we can't possibly believe what we say we believe. In that case, not only is our religion a fraud, but so are we as so-called Christians. That's what Catholics as a whole communicate about Catholicism. And to quote Gaudium et Spes, which we talked about at the very beginning of the Year of Faith, okay, it's one of the dogmatic constitutions on the Church in the Modern World is what it's called. Quote, one of the gravest errors of our time is the dichotomy between the faith which many profess and the practice of our daily lives. The disconnect between our Sunday life and our Monday through Saturday life. The solution will not come from, well, I'm going to tell you where the solution is not going to come from. If you're waiting for the institutional church to stem the tide and fix this problem, you're missing the point. Sure, we need inspirational leadership. We need solid catechesis. Our official organizations need to be more professional. We've talked about that. We need to do community and fellowship better. Sometimes we Catholics get accused of being too cold. Yes, our leaders need to understand investment and ROI. They need to be more accountable and less wasteful, bureaucratically speaking. And we should operate in all things with excellence, because excellence itself is a Catholic thing. And we should embrace all things along the way that are true, good, and beautiful, and which serve the mission of the church. But those sort of things aren't going to fix our problems by themselves. People can find well-run, professional, inspirational organizations and great communities anywhere. But Christ gave us His church for so much more. What we have to focus on most is what the church does best. Our competitive advantage. What nobody else can do like the Catholic Church does. Create saints. Let me say it again. Create saints. Saints are the beacons of Christ to the world. Saints like Maximilian Kolbe. They are the most tangible fruits of the sacraments. How many saints has St. Catherine created? That is the ultimate measuring stick. Saints will not lose their faith because of bad liturgical music, or bad preaching, or small budgets, or poor management, and every other single one of the many problems that we talk about. They will be there at Mass, quietly and slowly winning the world for Christ, slowly transforming the church, recruiting other saints, and fixing all of these other problems. Yes, they are problems that need to be fixed in the process. A saint is a powerful weapon in this culture war and every war to come. They are compelling in every age and from every angle. You've heard me quote St. Jose Maria before about these crises that we live in are times for saints. We're not talking about saints with capital S, we're talking about saints with the little s, meaning you and me. They need few words to be understood. They need no defense. They need no money. Think of Mother Angelica when she started EWTN. Or glory or fame. Think of Mother Teresa. They have but themselves, and the world can't help but change through the witness of their lives. And the problem is that we have gotten bad at teaching. And I'm not talking about the way we teach in a classroom like this, or the catechesis, or the preaching from the pulpit. I'm talking about our example, about the way we live our lives. You've heard me say before that the best teachers show it. They live it. Children learn best when they see their parents doing the words that they talk about. Kids are the best at picking up on hypocrisy. We've forgotten this when it comes to handing out the faith. We see this deficiency everywhere, online and offline. How many times have you seen charity preached in anger? And orthodoxy preached in uncharity? This is the fruit of pride, not the fruit of genuine concern for souls. We have fallen in love with knowing we are right, and have called it loving our neighbor. My parents' generation left the church without leaving the pews. And now they wonder why their kids find it silly to stand in the pews of a church they never really understood, professing creeds they never really believed. And so we find ourselves scrambling for ways to teach the truth, to instruct the ignorant, demanding orthodoxy. If they only knew what they were leaving. But we go about it all the wrong way. We attack all the symptoms without really getting to the heart. Instead of lecturing people that they have to go to Sunday Mass, inspire them to want to go. When was the last time you even invited anybody to go to Mass with you? Instead of telling them to dress more appropriately for Mass, give them something worth dressing up for. The Eucharist. Instead of telling them not to be unchaste, fascinate them with chastity. And the list goes on and on. It must not only be an affirmative orthodoxy, but also an active orthodoxy. Instead of talking about how beautiful the faith is, show them its beauty. Instead of insisting upon how good the church is, be good. Instead of lecturing about truth, live life transformed by the truth that is Christ. You don't have to beat people over the head with the truth, and you've heard me say you don't have to beat them over the head with the Bible or catechism. You just have to open them up to it. Prepare the way. Then get out of the way. Open the cage door and the truth will speak for itself. It will roar like a lion who once encountered needs no help being taken seriously. If we want the world to take Catholicism seriously, we must first make it seriously ourselves. That's where it starts. That means making radical changes to the way we live our lives. We need more people to answer the radical call to sainthood. We need saints. Not just saints of the past, but our individual sainthood. When the world sees you, they don't have to see a saint, but at least they need to see a sinner that is set on becoming a saint. We shouldn't need to tell people that we're Catholic. They should smell it in our sweat and the way we live our lives. They should see Christ radiating authentically and naturally from every move that we make. And if they can't, we need to shut up and stop talking about what's wrong with everyone else. And we need to start living a more compelling life. We need an army of saints willing to live a radical life for Christ and others. Saints are compelling. Empty words and prideful lectures are not. Each of us have been called to live a radical life, to be a saint. And I'll close with the words of St. Catherine of Siena, who said, "If you are what you should be, you will set the whole world ablaze."